This is a Dancing Stickman production. Content warning. This series contains potentially upsetting themes, including mind control, harm to children and animals, and death.
The moment that she hears some noise from her village, she is going to kind of shake out of it. She's going to look around her, grab her quarterstaff, and start booking it back.
As you run back to town, you start scrambling down that slope that you climbed up to get upstream, and you see that everybody is gathered around something in the middle of town. As you run down to it, you see that it's a giant wolf. And that wolf looks to you. It smells you coming down from above the town, and it makes its way through the crowd, which you see people prepared to use offensive magic. You see that some of the magic users are opening their spell books or starting the verbal components of the spell. This wolf walks up to you, and as it approaches you, it puts its two forepaws together and bows to you.
Naya, having seen like a large wolf in her town, I think she was ready for the strike, and then immediately stops and is looking around to see if everyone is noticing the same thing. And then she's going to say, "What is this?"
Everybody got quiet as this wolf performed this very unusual behavior in front of them. And as they see it bow to you and hear you start talking, they all start up again in a cacophony. You can't distinguish what people are saying, but you hear Ixter yelling,
"They're going to be able to find us. That's what just happened. We have to move. Uneza, we have to move again."
And Laris is saying,
"It's just the solstice, everyone. Please calm down. We just had the solstice occur. I'm certain that all this is, everyone, please settle."
And everyone is yelling against each other. And what you see is that some of these other older magic users, as they see this wolf coming around to you, they prepare some offensive magic. One of them throws a witch bolt at the wolf. Give me a dex save, though.
Ooh, I am concerned. 18?
It doesn't hit you. You don't get also hit by it, but this wolf takes that damage, and it turns around and it snarls. It puts itself in between you and the rest of the town, and it is ready to fight everyone. And you can see the rest of the town, Rusty, and he goes,
"It's Naya. It's protecting Naya."
Me?
They all quiet. Your dad looks at you and he says, "What happened?"
Papa, I don't know. I went to go and check out the disturbance. I saw, I think I ran into the shrine.
He tries to walk up to you. He interrupts you and he tries to walk up to you. He goes, "Baby, I can feel knocks in you."
What is that? What does that mean? What does that mean? What does that mean?
I don't know. I've never felt him.
I'm not a warlock. I don't have a pact with Nox. I didn't talk to Nox.
There is death in you. Now, are you?
No.
As he's saying this, Ixter's getting more spun up. He looks at Rusty. He goes,
"You're right. It's her. It's her. She's the reason this is happening."
Dad, I found a body. It was floating. I tried to help.
What body, baby? What did you find?
I don't know. There was a body that was floating in the water.
As you are also getting more spun up, Uneza steps into the center. Your dad is by you. The wolf is in front of you, and it looks like it's preparing to attack. And Uneza steps up to the wolf, and it looks to her, and she recognizes it. And she puts a hand out, and the wolf smells it. And everybody else, as Uneza is doing this, stops and watches her. And she puts her hand on the wolf's head. She looks to you, and she says, "Dismiss it."
Naya then looks over to the wolf and gets close to it, cups its face in her hand, and says, "Please leave."
It vanishes. Everybody starts yelling again. They all pause for a second and everybody starts yelling again. Uneza, she casts Shatter. She strikes a rock with her staff and it rings out. The rock shatters. Everybody has a moment where the piercing sound of this just overwhelms them. It rings out like crystal, and they all stop and they all quiet. And Uneza looks to them and says,
She is a witch.
and your dad says, how? And Uneza says,
The solstice? I don't know. Something changed, obviously, but she was not before. She is now. You sense death in her. That's part of her magic.
you can see this landing with the elders. The kids look scared. The elders they're hiding it better, but you can see that they're nearly as scared as the kids are. And Ixer says,
She can't stay.
I turn immediately to my
your
dad.
dad objects.
And I'm like, Dad, I don't want to be a witch. What if I could be a warlock instead? That would be cool.
He puts his hand on your shoulder and he looks at Ixer and he says, she's not a witch. She's never had any magic. And Uneza says,
I'm sorry, Ayubu, but something has changed. She has an enormous draw of power. I wouldn't even if there were still witches, I wouldn't expect a new witch to have as much as exists within her. She called a guardian to Ayadir.
and your dad doesn't want to believe it. Ixer's already jumped to his conclusions. Laras looks at you and she says,
Naya, what are you feeling right now?
Confused? Bewildered? I don't know.
No,
what do you...
Naya,
What do you,
she calms you down and she says,
look inside. Turn inside. What are you feeling right now? In your body.
Naya would like to perform a perception check in her body.
you want to do an insight check?
An insight check on her body, yes.
Give me an insight check, low DC.
26.
26. Naya, when you quiet yourself and you look internally, you feel 100% different than you did this morning. There's this tingling, welling sensation inside of you. Like if you wanted to, you could just reach out and without even touching it, change the world around you. And you recognize that when you told that wolf to please leave, that's exactly what you did. And it is bubbling inside of you. It's right at the surface. It's mixing with your panic. So it feels like it's almost right there about to escape from you. But you realize as Laris asks you to do this, that they're right, that what your dad sensed of Nox inside of you, it's there. What Uneza said about you having witch powers, it's there. You realize it's right there, and you could, if you wanted to, you could level this town in a moment with the power available to you, or you could summon an army of creatures to aid you. And you realize now that you are fundamentally changed, and it happened in an instant.
Dad, why can't I stay here? I thought magic was magic is magic.
Baby, we've never seen magic like this before. People with magic are born to it.
He looks at Uneza and he looks helpless. She goes,
There's a weight on Naya. That's what we all sense. We can sense the draw of her power. And if we can sense it, and there's this much magic concentrated in one place, yes, it seems possible that others could find it too.
and Ixer says,
Well, that's it. She needs to leave.
and your dad says, he turns to you and he goes, if they make us leave, I'll go with you. And Uneza stops him and she says,
No. She should come with me.
your dad realizes Uneza's been saying that your power is that of a witch. This is the last witch that anyone in your town knows, because the witch who lived with you previously died years ago, and there aren't many left. He looks at Uneza, he says, Can you train her to use it and to make herself safe? And Uneza says,
I can try my best. I think this shows that none of us are truly safe.
he looks at you, Naya, he says, what if it's just for a little while? What if it's just so you can get a handle on this?
Dad?
He goes quiet. He says, we need to keep the town safe.
Dad!
And we need to keep you safe. And I don't think we're going to be safe if they find us. Any of us. We don't have a lot of hope of being able to defend ourselves if the church shows up in force. And if we felt this change, they can too. Magic is magic is magic. The source we all draw from is available to every single one of us. It'll just be for a little while, baby, I promise.
Dad.
Yuneza puts her hand on your shoulder and she says,
I'll teach you how to use it. And you can come back when you know how. But right now, when the solstice happened, something changed in the ether. And if you stay here for too long, they'll find you eventually.
Laras and Ixer and the other elders are truly just waiting for this conversation to finish because they've already decided. You can see in their resolve that they don't want you in town anymore because you now represent a threat to them. What they're all waiting for is for you to accept it. Your dad is hanging his head in shame, but he can sense the same thing that everybody else can sense in you.
Naya's going to immediately hug her dad, give him the biggest hug that she's ever given him.
He hugs you right back. He squeezes so hard.
And then she's just going to leave.
Yuneza follows you. She gives you your space, but she does follow you. Eventually, when she senses that you're not quite as emotionally raw, she offers to teach you how to fly.
Ayo.
And as you take flight past a conspiracy of ravens, one of them joins you on your way to Clawtip, where you arrive with Yuneza for the first time.
So as you're pulling up to the river in Tuvold, as you're pulling up to the port, you got lost a little bit in the weight of the emotions of that day, of your town turning against you. But you think back because it was that body that was what you were interacting with when everything changed. And now Ophelia's seen something that sounds exactly like that, a body floating down a river. What does that mean? What could that be?
Naya.
Hi.
Emmett and I finished tying up the boat. Are you okay?
Yes. Probably.
Ophelia's gonna make an insight check on that.
You can do deception or persuasion. Don't have to tell us, just tell us what the number is.
That is going to be 9 + 7, 16.
I would just like to make this a performance check.
Oh, go for it. Yeah.
Just FYI. It's still not a good number. It's a 7, but she's going to perform that she's fine. I'm not trying to convince anyone. I'm just trying to perform that.
Well, let's hear that performance then.
Yeah, I'm okay. Yeah. No major problems at all. It's totally fine. Yes. I am okay. I am good.
Ophelia's just gonna clock that but not point it out. Or, like, I guess make it awkward for Naya because Ophelia's not that sort of person. So she's just gonna be like, okay, well, we gotta go into the city and get these things for Igern. So I guess if we're ready. And then Ophelia's gonna turn to you, Emmett, and she's gonna be like, Emmett, choose which person you want to hold hands with.
I don't have to hold anybody's hand. I'm fine. I'm not gonna hold your hand, but I'm gonna go with you, Ofelia.
But I do think you need to hold her hand, Emmett. You do have to hold her hand.
Ophelia's gonna put out her hand.
I put my hand in her hand.
There's a path that leads up from the ports that's pretty wide and broad because a lot of shipping goes out through here. So you just keep to the side, past some wagons that are coming down to deliver whatever is going to be launched from the ports that day. And you come up very close to the main square of town, honestly. It comes up and it goes past sort of the district where the noble people live. And it comes into a large, bustling main city center. 4 guild halls at each corner of this center with shops behind it. You know that the apothecary that Igern wants you to go to pick up these herbs that she needs is just on the other side of the square around town. I would love everybody to give me a detail of this city that each of your characters finds the most fascinating because you are not from here.
Is it like a bigger population than Auden?
Yeah, it's the biggest population city in the continent.
Emmett's definitely like looking at all the many different people around here and like just it's like bustling, right?
Mm-hmm. Everybody's going about their morning business right now.
She's seeing the opportunity, if she wasn't having her hand held right now, to like, oh, I could pick so many pockets right now. But she's like looking at all like the interesting, like it's different architecture, right?
Mm-hmm. A lot of it is styled after the Ecclesia de Ordo, the church at the far end of town, has a very distinct architectural style that has been integrated into the rest of the city.
Yeah, she's like looking around. It's like when somebody from a small town goes to like New York or something and the buildings are really different and maybe kind of taller than she's used to. She's definitely so used to like one particular city that being in a different one, especially one that's so distinct, is like she's just like in awe.
Naya's gonna immediately stare at these buildings made of stone, and that is just weird. She's gonna start running her hands against the stone and stare upwards as she just sees these really tall buildings, as tall as trees, even taller than trees at some point, and it's just so strange. She's a little uncomfortable about how unnatural this is because it's so constructed. But then also, as she's looking upward, she's not really noticing the amount of people that's around her, and as she's getting bumped around and being pushed around, and the smell of all of these people and different things are assaulting her nose, it's a bit overwhelming for her. While she was standing next to Ofelia and Emmett, she's slowly starting to move to like the side of the pathway so that she can get out of it, and she's kind of like holding on to this cloak so that she isn't as perceived, and she's trying to make herself a little bit smaller.
For Ofelia, I'm assuming I have been here a couple of times.
You've probably been here once or twice prior to this jaunt to Igern's cottage.
For Ofelia, more so than the people in front of her right away, I think it'll just be a memory of the couple of times I've been here with my dad and kind of pinpointing those familiar stores or certain buildings that I remember from that time. But also, I'll actually be more focused on both Emmett and Naya's reactions because they are the ones more immediate to me. And I am sort of interested to see what their feelings are about this place. And I guess just out of a personal concern as well, especially because Naya has been acting weird since we docked.
Do you ask them anything as you head around the corner to where this apothecary is?
I think I feel Emmett being very excited, holding my hand, like almost tugging motion. And I'm going to just tell Emmett, maybe not right now, Emmett.
Okay, whatever. I don't have a choice.
You do have a choice. But I don't know, maybe if we have some change later on, maybe we can, or I can show you some treats, if you're good.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
If you listen.
Naya immediately kind of like gets close to them, and while she doesn't necessarily want to hold anyone's hand, I think, Ofelia, you feel a hand kind of holding onto your cloak.
Oh.
Which it's just nice, but she's not going to look at you.
You have to pass the Artisans Guild and you head around it. It's huge. And as you curve around, there's this neat little apothecary with a bunch of herbs growing in the front. You enter the store to find it's a little busy. It's starting to get to be mid-morning, so there's a few customers in there. At this point, do you let go of Emmett's hand when you're inside the store?
Yeah, I think so, because I have a job here to do. A naive part of me believes that Emmett will stay because of hopefully my enticement of treats, but also because Naya's there, and I feel like she is sort of the other pair of eyes. So I think Ofelia, as soon as she enters the apothecary, this is like home for her. Like she knows what to look for. She's just gonna turn to you two and say, I can do this because I kind of know what to look out for. You guys can stay, or I think this is your first time here in the city, so if you guys just want to look around, feel free to, or feel free to hit up the other shops. And then I'm going to turn to Naya and say, just watch out for Emmett.
Can I hear this?
Yeah, I'm not trying to hide this. I'm saying it out loud so you know as well.
Naya looks over at Ofelia and just says like, oh, absolutely, she's going to be fine. Saying this out loud, but giving Ofelia the, don't worry, I've got this.
So what are we gonna go
What's
get?
on the list? Yes, that's a good question, Emmett. What is on the list, Ofelia?
Well, other than these herbs that Igern has sort of given us, I mean, part of the things was that we need to find stuff for the tokens that we're going to make each other.
Emmett, what would you like to make your token out of?
I don't know. What do you want to do? I can't think of anything.
Or what we could do is technically the tokens are for each other. Why not just ask each other what would be the most practical?
So smart, so wise. Hopefully nothing like jewelry. Like, I don't want anything that hangs. Like, I gotta keep it inside all of the pockets I have. Something flat, something small.
Flat.
Can I have a hat?
Okay. You want a hat?
Can you make me a hat?
But what if the hat comes off?
Put a little ribbon on it.
Oh, a hat that like you can tie. I've heard of those. I've seen some people outside wear them. Is that the thing that people do?
It's only going to last for the season probably before it goes out of fashion. But, I mean...
What does that mean? Why would it ever go out of fashion? It still seems useful.
Well, the thing is...
Yeah, it would make my head warm.
Well, the thing is, a lot of these folks don't really care about practicality. It's about, like... Ophelia's going to look for, like, the right term and kind of, like, looking at both of them or looking at Naya specifically. Be like, it's like, you know how, like, birds in the season have, like, a certain plumage, and then, like, when winter comes, they kind of shed that plumage?
Yeah.
Ophelia launches into an explanation about fashion trends and seasonality. I'm pretty sure Ophelia starts talking about the cloak.
Yes.
That Naya is currently wearing.
Absolutely.
Somehow I find a way to bring that up.
Absolutely. And Naya, because you brought up birds and like animals and how they operate, is trying to translate that into what she's seen in like the forest. And she's like, but like, yeah, they might not have but the plumage is always the same the next season. It's not.
Right. And I admit the analogy doesn't hold up.
As Emmett wanders off, as you're looking through the stuff that's available on shelves, what you're seeing are small jars of tinctures and things like that, little bundles of plants, and if you speak to the proprietor, they can like weigh out herbs for you to take home. But yeah, they're like little jars and baubles and ointments and stuff like that that are already packaged up as well.
Is it possible to do like a perception check to see if anybody's looking at me?
Yeah, absolutely. Go for it.
Okay, I'm gonna do that. 11.
Emmett, you don't notice anyone looking at you. It looks like Ofelia and Naya are deep in it. They are lost in the sauce of this
Laces,
conversation.
too. And, you know, the one that's currently on your cloak is actually
Like lace doesn't even make sense here. Like I could just poke it and it could just.
As far as you can tell, no one else is watching you.
Okay, I'm gonna look at all the cute little bottles that's in front of me, and are they like colorful or are they just like herbs?
Yes, they are. They're colorful. There's like shimmering potions inside of them, and some are like bright blue and some are a deep green.
I'm gonna like crouch down and I'm gonna look for, are there any blue ones? Any cute, pretty blue one?
There's
like,
this bright blue small bottle. It's like a beaker but smaller, and it's stoppered with a wax seal.
That's cute. I'm gonna, pick it up. I'm gonna look at it, and yeah, I'm gonna try and steal it. I'm gonna try and put it in my jacket.
Give me a sleight of hand, please.
All right.
So people just wear things so that it just looks good?
Well, yeah, I'm not to say I agree with this sentiment. It's just from my observation. But, certain clothing, yes, provides comfort, but it's also technically a way to showcase your status. It's like when animals bare their teeth at each other.
I got a 12.
Emmett, you slip that little potion into your pocket, and as far as you know, that was nobody noticed.
That's the worst thing for a dungeon master to say. I stand back up and I walk back over to them.
Looking casual.
Yeah.
But when animals bare their teeth, they want to fight each other. So are you saying that when people wear lace and they're showing their status that, hey, I'm about to fight you. So am I like wearing this? Am I saying that, hey, I want to fight other people?
You always look like you want to fight other people.
I mean, you're not wrong. Do you want to fight? Do you want to fight right now, Emmett? And she kind of throws her dukes and throws some fake punches.
The proprietor goes from the counter.
Right. Well, we'll go back to this talk later, but okay, Emmett, you want a hat with ribbons. Naya, you just want something flat. I mean, I could make you another coin, maybe.
I don't know. What if you made it out of like flowers or something? That feels like it's a thing that you do. I would like a lacy flower coin, please.
A lacy flower coin. Ophelia's just gonna have this expression of like loading information.
So that it shows that I want to fight people. I want something that shows my status.
Ofelia, are you the one taking care of the actual list that you have from Igern?
Yes.
I think the three of you break to look for the stuff that you want to use for tokens. You head up to the proprietor so you can get the measured out herbs that she's asked for. As you're doing this, a fairly well-dressed man walks into the store and he sees another customer that he recognizes, and they start chatting and they greet each other, and he says to this other man, he goes,
I heard an interesting rumor about the hierarch that the reason he hasn't been attending services in the last season or so is because he's the one who's been taking the children. They're saying he's gone missing too. It's not illness.
They start chatting like in low voices. Emmett, what you hear them talking about, what catches your attention is that they also mentioned that the hierarch has gone missing, but that's recent. What's been happening though is they've been hearing reports of children going missing. So that pings in your head as you hear them say that people in town are disappearing. And you start thinking back to your town, Audun, because it's not far from here. Like, it's actually relatively easy to travel to Tuvold from Audun. There's 2 direct roads that lead right to it. And it sounds like the cities in the south of Aelia are dealing with this common problem, because when you start thinking back, you realize that the exact same thing had been happening in your town. In fact, you think back to, honestly, it was shortly before you left too. You remember waking up in Audun, and there's a small stable behind the college there that has absolutely fell out of use. Nobody uses it anymore because it's too small. The college got too big and they built themselves a nice shiny set of new stables on the other side of the campus. So this place where nobody really goes anymore, you've kind of set yourself up in the loft, and that's your little spot. And you remember waking up to this little black tuxedo cat with one ear partially ripped off. He was bumping his face into your face. That cat, you remember that cat waking you up, and seconds after that, you remember the scrambling of little footsteps coming in through the front of this stable, and a voice going,
What?
Emmett, we found Castor.
Really?
Yes.
Wait, where? Okay, I get up and I hop down.
You see this child you're very familiar with, short little redhead kid, about as disheveled as you are in terms of dress. You know this child. This is Bean, and Sprout is his sister.
Oh.
They're part of your crew. He says to you,
We found him at the orphanage.
So Bean is talking about your mentor, Castor, who he just turned 17 a few months ago, but like shortly after he turned 17, he went missing. Castor is the person who, taught you how to pickpocket, and he was running this little gang of kids who, get what they need from the people in the college in town. But after Castor went missing, it fell to you to take over. So Bean's telling you that he spotted Castor at the orphanage.
Really? Where? Why?
We don't know. He was helping. We only saw him. Sprout's watching him right now, but we only saw him. He was at the back, and they were unloading boxes into the back of the orphanage, and we saw Castor, and he looked different. He was wearing different clothes, and we didn't go and talk to him because the lady was there, and we didn't want her to see us. So I came to get you because we thought maybe maybe you could help us.
Okay.
Maybe Castor would talk to you, but there's so many the priests are there too, and there's so many.
Okay, all right.
But
Thank you for telling me. That's very smart. Thank you for remembering to tell me stuff. Sometimes you don't do that. I'm gonna go
tell
over.
Emmett first. Tell Emmett first.
Tell Emmett first. Tell Emmett first. Thank you. Where's your sister? Is your sister over here?
No, she's watching. She's over there. She's
Okay.
keeping watch at the orphanage.
All right, let's go over. I'll help. Thank you for telling.
You and Bean, how do you guys travel? Do you stick to alleyways or do you walk through the streets?
I think primarily alleyways.
Okay.
Because we have been around here for a little while, and it's a little bit risky to be too regular in
Yes.
in sight. So we're gonna stick to the alleyways.
You guys are walking through the alleyways of this little town that's like nestled into the woods in the hills. What time do you typically wake up?
I try to wake up early, but I do a lot of stuff in a day, so I usually wake up around like 11.
All right, later in the day. So I imagine it was closer to later in the day when this happened. I think Bean and Sprout usually, they're like two of your most reliable crew. So they're typically up a little bit earlier than you, and they are usually scouting for you. You have been training them in the fine arts of thievery. And actually, as you are wandering through the streets, you lose track of Bean for a second.
Bean!
He comes running around the corner. He goes, run,
Okay.
and you hear somebody yell, "Hey!" around the corner. Where's my wallet? The two of you scramble, find a little hidey hole, and make sure that anybody who comes looking for you doesn't see you. Bean picks up this little purse that he's got, and he dangles it in front of you and smiles really big.
Ah, thanks. I take it from his hands.
Hey, and you take it from him. He goes,
My cut's 15%.
I know what percent it is, and then I kind of do a loose handful. I don't know what 15% is, so I put it in his hand. This is 15%. It's like one coin.
Cute.
The two of you continue through. The orphanage is kind of on the far side of town. Now, I have a question about the orphanage. The woman there, her name is Abbess Chastain. You know her because she keeps an eye out. This orphanage is actually called St. Julia's Home for Wayward Children. So she keeps an eye out for the wayward children to find them and bring them home. And I'm just curious about what your relationship is with Abbess Chastain.
I don't like her very much. She was not very nice to me, and so in return, I'm not going to be very nice to her. But, I don't really want to talk to her or look at her or be seen by her, so I'm just going to be mean about her behind her back. Because this is totally a two-way rivalry.
Have you ever spent any time in the orphanage?
Yes, when I was very small compared to now.
How did you end up outside of it?
When Emmett was young, she finally figured out how to sneak in a way that actually worked. Because when you're little and you're playing hide and seek and you think they can't see you, but all of your hair is sticking up past whatever thing you're hiding behind.
Right, the feet are poking out from beneath the curtains.
Exactly. And so she finally figured out how to, something clicked in her brain, and she, after a while of being at this orphanage and dealing with stuff that she couldn't handle anymore, she figured out how to slip away, and she ran as far as she could.
Not many children are able to get out. They keep it on pretty tight lockdown over there at the Home for Wayward Children. And the fact that you have not only managed to get out, but stay ungot and have rallied some of the other children on the street to your cause of causing trouble for the students and professors of the Collegium Arcana at Audun is really rankles her. As you approach this place, trying to stay out of sight is your best possible option. Can you please give me a stealth check?
Absolutely. Stealth. That's an 11.
Ay.
Why do I keep rolling like this?
I would get some dice, man.
I was gonna say,
Dice is great.
Should I just start using my dice?
Yeah, do
roll
it.
20 is cursed.
I can do that. I'm just gonna switch to them. I'm gonna get my D20 out.
Yeah, I will give you advantage on this roll just because this is your thing that you do.
I'm gonna roll the second dice in real life. Ugh.
Oh,
Let's see what that is.
So I'm hearing it's
That
fate.
is I get a +6, right?
Yes, you do.
Ooh.
So that's a 12.
That's a little better. Bean is a shadow because he is so much smaller than you. As you approach the orphanage, it's got a high iron fence around it. And there's a large bricked wall with wrought iron on top of it surrounding the home. It's hard to see into it. As you're approaching, you see at the back where there are gates open for wagons to come deliver things like food, anything that, like they need to supply the orphanage. And you see that there are clerics, and they're very distinctly clerics of the Order of Tyos, because they wear their robes and their tunics that have the Eye of Tyos on the front of it, or they're usually wearing their chain with an Eye of Tyos. It's a circle with a dot in the middle of it and 8 radiating spikes on the outside. It looks like an eye staring into you, but a wide and unblinking eye. And Emmett, have you ever liked the Eye of Tyos?
No. Yeah, no. Emmett has never really vibed with the whole deal with Tyos and everything. No matter what anybody tries to tell her. She sees, like, the symbol, and she's like, that's just scary. It scared her a lot when she was little, and now it just makes her frown. I mean, it still scares her, but she doesn't like to admit that it scares her.
So you see that these clerics are unloading boxes of something. They're not huge boxes. They're maybe like 3 feet by a foot deep by 2 feet wide. They're pulling them into the back of the orphanage. And then there are these additional boxes that are coming out. Some of them are small. They're just a very small chest, and some of them are big. They're like big enough to fit people inside them. They're wooden crates that you see people hammering shut, some of these clerics. Now, there's one particularly big one getting loaded into the back of the wagon while these others are coming out. And as you're watching this, you see that Bean has disappeared.
Bean! Bean! Bean!
So one of the clerics hears you doing that.
Can I run away?
Yeah, you can run away. This guy has seen you, so go ahead and give me an athletics check, and I will give him an athletics check. If he rolled a
Not an
15.
athletics check.
Yes, an athletics check.
Okay, hold on. Maybe I should use my real dice.
If this is a moment, I feel like you should always use your real dice when you get the chance.
Yeah.
I'll take your advice. A 2!
Oh no! I'm sorry.
I don't like these dice.
So sorry, they're cursed.
Yeah.
That's okay.
This stern-looking, bearded cleric of Tyos, or something, he's related to the order. He's got a weapon, though, which you don't often see clerics with. He rolled a 15. He gains on you so fast, and he grabs you by the neck. And he goes, "Who are you, little one, and why are you here?"
Oh, I live here.
He doesn't care about you. He grabs you by the back of your collar, and he drags you into the courtyard of the orphanage. So there's a small group. They're a part of the church. You're just not sure. They don't seem like priests, but there's a small group, maybe 2 or 3 people, and he's pulling you over to them. But you realize as he's pulling you over to them, one of them is Castor. So you see Castor. He's wearing a tunic with the Eye of Tyos on it.
I look at him and I give him like this wide-eyed, like, what the hell are you doing kind of face, but I don't say anything.
He recognizes you immediately. So this guard drags you over and he goes, "I caught this little rat sneaking around the walls outside. Seems like our friend the abbess might have another little helper." And he says, "Watch her, and I'm going to go get Chastain." And he leaves you there. He drops you in front of Castor. Castor looks at the other 2 and he goes, I can take care of her. This is fine. You guys can go. I've got her." The other 2, let's see if he convinces them. Yes, one of them goes, "Well, it's been a long morning. I could use a break." Castor takes you actually into the awning of the front of the orphanage, just into the foyer. So you're still pretty much within sight of these other 2 men, but they're not paying as much attention to you. And he looks down and he goes, "Emmett, what are you doing here?"
I'm here because you're here. Why are you here?
I'm working, Emmett. I got a job. The order took me in. I'm learning.
The stupid Tyos guys?
They pay, Emmett. They pay me money and they need help, and they're teaching me how to do magic. And
Other people help. I need help.
his face gets so sad. He goes, "Emmett, you know that's nobody's helped. Nobody helped. You helped, yeah, you helped, but I couldn't stay out on the street anymore, and Chastain found me and they said, you're 17, so you can either go to the order or you stay here forever. And they just train you up inside. And I decided that look at them. They have everything. They have everything we've ever talked about. We wanted to be able to like make a living. I'm improving myself, and
You cannot be serious right now. You're not serious.
you can't be here right now.
You can't be here right now.
No, I'm supposed to be though.
This is dumb.
He looks at the other two guards. He looks at the man who found you and dragged you in and who's walking away. He goes, "We have to get you out of here. You can't be here."
Just get me out of here.
He starts scrambling to think about what it is he can do to get you out. And he thinks, okay, listen, what if we put you into the back of the wagon and if you hide there, maybe as the wagon is leaving, if they don't see you, you could jump out. He pops his head out to the other two guards and he goes, I'm going to just take this one in with the other kids. And they look at him and they shrug and nod and are like, all right. And so he pulls you fully inside of the orphanage. How do you feel being back here with its large Gothic architecture and very forbidding tones? It's not a fun place for kids.
I'm starting to get a little overwhelmed with like all the different things happening. I got captured. Caster's here. This is also a place that I never want to see the inside of again. It's really creepy and I feel bad. And I asked Caster, have you seen Bean? I can't find him.
No, but they found Sprout.
What? Where?
She was hiding outside the walls. And so she's in with the other kids. They're gonna... You see him stopping himself from telling you what's happening.
Why can't you tell me? Why don't you just say what you're thinking right now?
I don't want you to hate me, Emmett.
I don't hate you. What is happening? Why are you here?
They're taking the kids out.
Where?
I don't know. I don't know where they take them, but I know they don't come back. He says, we have to hide you.
Can I just grab Sprout real quick? Please?
I don't know how you're gonna get past all those guards to get her.
I'm so good at sneaking now.
Emmett, you just got grabbed.
I can figure it out. Maybe you can help me figure it out. Since you're on the inside now.
Yeah, well, I have to sneak too. I don't want them knowing about me either. He thinks to himself, he says, I think our best bet is to stash you in the cart before it departs. And maybe you'll be able to find Sprout there. He says, come with me. He does actually grab you though. He does grab your collar at the back so that you can't get away from him. He pulls you through the corridors. When you hear people coming, he knows the hiding places in this place as well as you do. So you both slip into little alcoves to keep from being seen. And he brings you to the back, which is close to where they're loading up the wagons. On the other side of the building is where the kids are having their lessons. On this side, you hear crying and sniffling, and you can hear a woman's voice go, quiet. Everything gets quieter. He goes, they're going to take the kids and they're going to put them on the cart. That's what's in the boxes. They're taking them. I think they take them to the mines, but I don't know. Let's just wait till she leaves and we'll get you in there and we'll see. Well, no, but I don't. He's spiraling. He doesn't know what to do with you. And you hear the door start to open and you guys slip into an alcove. Chastain steps out. You see her. She's a tall, imperious woman who keeps her hair in a very tight bun behind her head. She wears a high-collared dress that's very corseted and buttoned up. She looks straight and rigid all of the time. She comes out and this is the room he was thinking to slip you into so that you could get on the cart, but she locks it behind her. And she strides off down the hallway in the opposite direction. Caster says to you, okay, let's get to the loading bay and let's get you hidden there and maybe you can get out. So he pulls you down the corridor. Are you going with him? Are you trying to go with him?
Are we going past this room that was just locked?
Yes.
Can I try to open it? Can I try and open it?
I mean, it's locked. So if you're going to do any kind of sleight of hand check, it's going to be a really high DC.
I'm going to try anyway, because I heard sniffling, right?
Okay, give me a DC 20 sleight of hand check.
Classic Emmett.
Ew, I'm going to use the machine this time.
Oh, yes. Trust the
okay.
machine.
Trust the machine.
Going digital.
Oh, shit! it.
Let's go!
Oh!
Let's go!
Wow. Okay. Nice.
All right, so you have a little collection of, like, I would say, not picks necessarily, but little things that you've learned to, like, open locks. You use your dagger, you wiggle it in there, and you unlatch the door. And it opens up, and what you see are two groups of maybe 5 each miserable looking children. Some of them, the older ones, are over at a table, and they've got one of those larger boxes. They're pulling some kind of rock or mineral out, and they have chisels and hammers in their hands, and they're chipping it into smaller pieces. The other group of even younger children, they are just in a corner. Some of them are crying. And as the door opens, some look up at you, some shrink away because they think it's the abbess coming back for them. But you open the door and you step in. This is what you see. And Castor immediately comes in behind you and shuts the door so that it doesn't look like anything's happened. And what do you do?
I am going to just look around at all these kids. I'm like, this is crazy. I'm going to... Is there any way that I could, like, give them a way to... I want to try my best to make sure that if they have a chance to leave or sneak out or something, I want to make that 10 times more available to them, if possible.
The only way out is the door you came through. There are some very high windows, but they don't open from the inside, and they're, like, barred.
Can I do a perception check of this room?
What do you want to see?
I want to just, like, see if there's anything out of the ordinary. Like, I know I've been here before, but I want to see if there's anything that, like, is weird.
No rule necessary. The kids working on whatever this stone or substance is and chiseling it, like, most of them at this point have put down their tools and they're looking at you and Castor like, now what? But that is not something that you saw previously in your time here. But there's nothing else unusual in this room. Miserable children at the orphanage is not totally unusual.
Right, so are there hiding places in here that I would recognize? Just for me.
Just for you, maybe under the table?
Maybe, okay. I'm not going to stay in here too long, but I am going to be like, what is that? What's that rock? Tell me, please. What is happening? Why are you here?
Who are you asking? Are you asking the kids or are you asking Castor?
Just the kids. Like, are you guys okay? What is happening?
One of them looks like to be like a 15-year-old boy with like dark curly hair. He gets really angry when you say that. And he goes, I don't know what they're making us do. They just put this stuff in front of us and they have us turn it into smaller rocks and then they take it away and then they take the kids away too. And they've been doing this for weeks now. And they took my sister and he's starting to get worked up and Castor goes, shh.
I'm all over the place right now. Emmett's all over the place. And she's like, there's so many things wrong that are happening right now. She's gotten caught. Castor's being an idiot. Bean and Sprout are like probably captured or something or lost. All these kids are crying and hurt and doing stuff they don't want to do. This kid's upset. And so she's also in a very like upsetting place in this physical space right now. So she's just like, she's gonna just... She can't do it. She's just going to leave this room. She's scared.
So you open the door to step out of the room and Castor comes with you and he goes, we have to go now. But as he's saying that, you turn a corner and run right into the abyss.
No.
And then, boom, goes off. And there's almost like an earthquake. Everything starts shaking really hard under everyone's feet. And the abbess, right as she recognized you and Castor both as you walked into her, she slips and she goes, what is going on here? And Castor says, run.
I run.
That was Annette Lee as Ofelia, Ashlyn Sparrow as Naya, and Tegan Mack as Emmett. Sara Brink was the game master. Story editing by Sara Brink and sound design by Timoteo Flynn Valadez. Oops All Witches is a playtest of the Witch class created for The Wizard, the Witch, and the Wild One, produced by Fortunate Horse. For more information, visit the Worlds Beyond Number Patreon. Oops All Witches is a Dancing Stickman production. If you're enjoying the podcast and you'd like to hear more nerdy content like this, please consider giving us a like and a subscribe. And be sure to tell your friends. Thanks for listening.